Everybody, and welcome to this week's Connect video. My name is Matt and I am the curate at the Yare Valley Churches. Thank you for tuning in to our humble little video. Shall we start with a reading from Matthew chapter 5 verses 13 to 19. If you've got a Bible with you, it would be great if you could grab it and follow along. Jesus says this: "You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. I tell you the truth, until heaven and earth disappear, not the smallest letter nor the least stroke of a pen will by any means disappear from the law until everything is accomplished. Anyone who breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever practices and teaches these commands will be called great in the kingdom of heaven." So this is a part of Jesus' teaching, which is found in Matthew, and it's part of a famous group of teaching on the Sermon of the Mount. Jesus sits on top of the sermon and he teaches. And one of the themes of his teaching, the main theme, if you like, of his teaching, is a phrase known as the kingdom of God. Now, last week we thought about, or a few days ago, we thought about how forgiveness and grace kind of fits in with being a part of this kingdom. But I wonder if you've ever given any thought to what Jesus means when he says this term, the kingdom of God. What does he mean when he says that? Well, to help us to think about it, first of all, a kingdom has to have a king. The kingdom of God is where God is king. Jesus is king, where his rule and reign are established and exist. This rule and reign is a reign of justice and love and holiness. But it's more than just a set of rules or a group of laws that we have to follow. It's much more of a culture thing. It's kind of how it's lived out. You know, let's say you're in the Republic. It's not really a kingdom, but you're in the Republic of France, right? You would have a certain way of living and of doing things, wouldn't you? You would, for example, you'd probably take most of July off as holiday. When you greet somebody, you might kiss them on both cheeks. There will be a way of doing things because you are French. If you're British, for example, you would, about every hour, you would stop and make yourself a cup of tea. Or there will be other things that we would do. We would apologise when someone stands on our foot. There will be things that we do that make us English, a kind of cultural thing about us. So when Jesus is talking about the rule and reign of God, when you live under the rule and reign of God, and he talks about this kingdom of God about it, he's talking about a way that things are done around here that exists on much more than just on a level of the laws, but on the way that things are done around here. It isn't about the type of clothes that you wear, because followers of Jesus in the kingdom of God all the way around the world wear different sorts of clothes. It isn't about the style of music, because the same is true. It's about our priorities. It's about what we hold to be particularly important. It's how we view the world and how we think it should operate. Now, countries have cultures, but one of the other things they have is that they relate to other countries in particular ways. And one of the ways that they do it is that they relate with embassies. Now, I don't know whether you know this, but there are loads of embassies in London. And let's take the Italian embassy. And on the Italian embassy, that ground where the embassy is built on, that is sovereign Italian ground. And the same is true of all the other embassies. The law of the land is not the law of the UK. It is the law of the land of that the embassy represents. And the job of the embassy is to represent and to show the country in good light so that they might build relationship with the country that they're in. Now, we are, says Jesus, to be the light of the world and the salt of the earth. We are to be the light of the world who show the good news of what this kingdom is like. That it is forgiving, loving, grace-filled, with a good king who is a God who created us, loves us and cares about us, and puts us into communities where we are known and accepted and learn how to love and look after one another. But we're also called to be salt, not just to add flavour, but to play our role in stopping things going bad. We're there to look after the lonely, to stand against injustice, racism, discrimination, all those sorts of things, and to remind the world that each person is precious and made in the image of God. We're to be both salt and light. So we as a church, we should be an embassy for this kingdom, representing it to the rest of the world. And to do that, our lives need to line up with the values of the kingdom. An ambassador can't go rogue. They can't go making up their own thing. They need to stick with the values of the king that they represent. He or she needs to live out the culture and ways of the kingdom that they represent. They need to obey the laws. They need to fit in with the culture. But obeying the laws and saying the right things is not enough. For it to be authentic, it has to go deeper. Jesus talks about this in the second part of our passage. For us, the only way to become a true ambassador for the King of the kingdom of God, to bring salt and light of this kingdom to the world, is to spend time with the King. We need to hear his words, discover what he is like. To do so is to be changed, and then to be sent out in the world. No other way makes it happen. So as we spend time with Jesus in prayer and in his word, he sends us out to be salt and light to the world around us. You are the light of the world. You are the salt of the earth.